don't know what she has, but I don't have that. And I just kind of sat there and I crossed my arms and I leaned back against the wall and I just looked at her and I was so skeptical. And I was kind of wondering to myself, like, what cult has she joined? Like, what drugs is she on? Hi guys, welcome back to Fiat Lux. So I'm really excited for today's video. I am going to share my testimony with you guys. I'm going to start with middle school because that's when I was kind of at my lowest point. So when I was in middle school, I was pretty addicted to distraction, whether that was YouTube, Netflix, or just going on social media. I wasted so much time, and at the end of spending hours doing nothing, I would feel so useless. You know, one time I remember I was doing dishes for my mom and I just wanted to be done as quickly as I possibly could because I wanted to get back to watching my Netflix episode. And that made me very self-focused and inconsiderate as well. So I was very focused on my own life without really caring much about the people around me. I would definitely say that I was living for pleasure, from moment to moment, just whatever I could do to entertain myself at the time. At the same time, I had these dreams that I was longing for. I was single, and so I really wanted to fall in love, and that sounded so great, and if only I could just find the right person, then I would be happy. Other people would have certainly thought of me as a good person. I was friendly and kind. I really thought things were just fine. To be honest, I was like, yeah, I mean, I'm better than most people, so I think that means I'm good. But at the same time, there was this deep restlessness in my day-to-day life, and I also found myself completely unable to break bad habits that I had. And maybe I was unhappy with them and I was ashamed of them, but I didn't have the motivation to change. So what happened? Mid-high school, one of my best friends started to drift away, not just from us, but from God as well. She started dating somebody who we didn't really approve of. We didn't think that it was really a good relationship. She came into this kind of dark place, and we were honestly all worried about her. Then I didn't see her for a couple of months, and then one day she called me up and asked if we could meet up. And again, it had been 2 months and I had no idea how she'd been or what she'd been up to, and I just remember she knocked on my door. I opened it, and when I saw her, I was taken aback because it was like she was glowing. I kid you not, it was like there was a light coming from her and there was this sparkle in her eyes that I had never seen before. And she was so radiantly joyful and full of life. She was so excited to tell me what had happened. And I remember thinking to myself that I had always kind of considered myself the holiest one of our little friend group there. I wonder how they'll feel about that statement, but I did think that at the time. When I saw her in that moment, I thought, I don't know what happened, but right now I feel like she's light years ahead of me in faith. I don't know what she has, but I don't have that. So she told me that she started praying, and I looked at her like she was crazy because I was like, yeah, we've all been praying. Like, what do you mean? We've been praying our whole lives. And she's like, no, Anna, that's, no, like, I talk to him all the time, every day. He's my best friend. Like, we joke around, and I'm really close with him now. And I was kind of like, yeah, like, Jesus is our best friend, but, like, people don't have a relationship like that with him. And I just kind of sat there, and I crossed my arms, and I leaned back against the wall, and I just looked at her, and I was so skeptical and so hesitant, and I was kind of wondering to myself, like, what cult has she joined? Like, what drugs is she on? But as time went on and she kept talking, I started to realize that maybe there was something to what she was saying. She showed me this prayer that she was praying. It's really short and really beautiful, and she encouraged me to pray it too. I can put it in the description below. I just kind of thought to myself, God, if this is you, if this is really something that you want me to do, then show me, convince me, because right now, I don't know. And he did give me a pretty clear sign. I didn't see it for about another month, but if you want me to make another video sharing that, I can. It's actually a painting that I made It's a long story. It's really near and dear to my heart. But anyways, so after she left, I decided to say that prayer first thing in the mornings, every morning. And honestly, my first time praying the prayer that I actually prayed was, God, help me to want to mean this prayer. Because I didn't even want to mean the prayer. Like, I was so not there. But eventually I wanted to mean the prayer, and then eventually I wanted to mean the prayer, and then eventually I actually meant the prayer. But it took a few months to get there. Point is, I took baby steps, and that's extremely important, right? We have to walk before we run, and we have to take baby steps before we can take, bigger steps. Starting small is so important. Setting reasonable goals for yourself. The most important thing for me actually changing my life was consistency, to pray consistently every single day, even if it wasn't a lot. So what happened? After that, a lot of things in my life started to change. Actually, my life completely, drastically changed. And maybe from the outside it wasn't very obvious. Actually, it probably wasn't super obvious. But for me, in my heart, I could tell a really big difference. One of the things that changed was my relationship with my sister. For a long time, I kind of brushed her off to the side and focused on my own things. I was too busy for her, right? That was my reasoning. Then when I invited God to really take over my life, he started to show me that he wanted me to build a relationship with her, to be there for her, to encourage her and support her and show her that she's loved and teach her the things that I've learned. And it's been so cool to see how Jesus working through me could have such a big impact on her life. Same goes with the rest of my family. My relationships with each person in my family has gotten better since then. Another cool thing that's changed is I've become more open to the Holy Spirit. And what I mean by that is sometimes God will ask you to do something that you don't really know why he wants you to do it. For example, like, sometimes I'll feel encouraged to text somebody and I haven't talked to this person in a really long time, but God's like, hey, reach out to them. And they end up saying like, hey, thank you so much for saying that, or for reaching out to me. I really needed that today. Point being, the closer you are to God, the more he's able to work through you and because of your obedience to him. Another thing that was absolutely amazing about my transformation, I guess, is some of the sins that I was struggling with before kind of just vanished, and that might sound crazy, but hear me out. Some of the things that I would call sins aren't like inherently bad. For example, for me, every night before I went to bed for a really long time, I would read these romantic comics on my phone. They were so bad for me because what happened was I would drift off into this fantasy world of romance, and then I would be like, oh, like I want that so much, and then I would come back to my life and I would feel empty and miserable and lonely. And it was a super unhealthy and dark place for me to go to. And so when I started praying, at one point I realized, wait, I haven't done that in weeks. Once I let God flood into my life, I didn't feel like I needed that crutch anymore, and I realized that that love that I was searching for through these romantic fantasies was actually Jesus. And if you told me that at the time, I would have looked at you funny, but now it makes so much sense. The last thing that I want to mention about this transformation is that it also allowed me to give an honest testimony. All my life, I wanted to be someone who could change lives and someone who was inspiring and made people feel loved. I have always wanted to be that person. But back in the times when I was living my life very hypocritically, even if I wanted to change people's lives, I myself needed to change. We're pretty good at telling if people are pretending. And I had some friends in high school who were strong Christian on the outside, like they said they were strong Christian, but then their lifestyle was pretty closed off to God. And I remember seeing how that was a turnoff to other people in their faith. And the reality is that if we're preaching the gospel with our words and not with our life, people are going to be turned off by it. They're going to say, yeah, I don't want to be like that. And maybe it's not your friends or strangers, but maybe it's your family. Maybe it's your siblings who are looking at your life and they see that you go to church and you do this and you do that, but then at the same time they know how you treat them. Is that really preaching the gospel to them? Are you really able to evangelize to them well and lead them closer to God? I'm so grateful for God's grace to be able to honestly say to you that I try to treat my family the way that I treat everyone else, and it has not always been like that, and I'm still working on it for sure. But it's really cool to be able to give an honest witness. Not to be perfect, I'm not by a long shot. If you saw my last video, you know that. But God is able to attract more people through your life because His beautiful and attractive light is shining through you. And with that, thank you so much for watching this video today and hearing my testimony. Please like this video, comment your thoughts, subscribe for more content. I've got lots more stuff to come and I'm excited to share it with you guys. And as always, let's go light up the world.